So 1-1. Back at Industries this time. Classic has switched his color, so now you know he means business. Called himself Bloody.
His opponent is in the bottom left. He's seeing red because he is now playing blue. He's the Terran, and he is Byun. So I was actually going to ask what you thought about this, and we might have had that question answered here with Classic's scouting probe. My question was going to be, in that previous game, do you think that Classic was scouting for a proxy, or was he going for a proxy of his own? And right here we see he didn't take a direct path across. He went through what would more likely be a potential proxy location. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think he was playing it safe, because Romanticide is such a macro map, and it's very easy to get your third base. If Protoss can play that map to the late game, I think it's a pretty good position. So, I don't know, if I was Protoss pro player as skilled as Classic, I'd want the long game there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty insightful. I do think that you're right. I have to point out, I do think it's kind of not funny, but interesting that Byun will consistently go for his expansion on the high grounds, and it's smart. In TVP, you just avoid so many problems, like those little adept, adept plus stalker, or 2 adept attacks against your bunker that has 1 marine in it, and that they keep shading past, and you have to keep sending them out of the bunkers to protect your SCVs, all of that nonsense. But Byun just says, okay, I will land my command center a few seconds later, but I'm just not even going to deal with that, and I'm going to get going with what I want to do. It's typically going to be getting out some small army for harassment or an early attack.
Well, that Adept will get nothing but a shut door on her face, so...
Yep.
I guess the Adept might be able to see that Hellion popping out, so that's good information still. But if the Marines do as well, I think the shields will go down.
Yeah, so the Adept just barely, I think by 1 pixel, also saw the command center there, which is reassuring. Otherwise, that's going to look like, basically a 1-1-1. And you're going to prepare for that a lot differently than if the Terran has an expansion, which Byun does.
I'd be shocked if Byun actually did a 1-base thing. But have you seen him ever do one? Besides like proxies, obviously.
Yeah, not recently. But I don't know. I guess I would say I've seen crazier things, but no, I wouldn't expect it. At the same time, someone does go for a 1-1-1, which is really old school. If they do it, you do have to respect it.
I mean, if there was one place to do it, it would be our humble little show match here. That's for sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not.
It's not GSL, but.
Exactly. I was just gonna say I'm not treating these matches exactly the same as I would, the GSL. But not to say that they're not taking it seriously. There is serious money at stake. Definitely would be nice to win. What is it for first? Maybe like 125 or so.
Split is 70-30, so it's 140-60.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so that's still a decent chunk of change.
Vroom vroom goes boom boom. We've got your 1-1-1 Symphonic, but it's on 2 base. Nope.
Yeah, there you go.
There's the barracks number 2 and 3. For any more, we'll want an extra base.
Yeah, so here comes one of those early game attacks that Byun, and I do think most Terrans do prefer to play this way in TVP, because if they get that third base up, things can be really rough. But Byun may be surprised to learn that there is no third base just yet.
Yeah, and Classic had great vision this time. He's got so many Phoenix. He's pumping out an Immortal as well, so this is a no-go, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. If there is a third base up already, it's a different story. but Classic had been preparing. He was ready to greet this attack off of 2 bases, and Byun does have to turn around. I'm interested to see what his adjustment is going to be here. What is the next step after the
Oh,
first
it's gonna be
attack?
Colossus. I was actually... Oh! Ouch! That Widow Mine hit, stripped all the shields. Phoenix better leave soon. Wait, no, they can stay. They can stay. The infantry is actually going across the map, which I think
Yeah,
Classic has spotted.
but doesn't he? I think he needs those Phoenixes to deal with the tanks, though, right?
He really does.
Yeah, Byun very well may get a cancel here. It comes down to whether or not the Phoenixes can lift the tanks in time for that Gateway Army to engage. I think it's a Gateway Army plus 1 Immortal. This is going to be a cancellation here. I'm almost positive of it.
Well, there's the Colossus. Let's see if it can save things. The tanks are getting lifted, and the Colossus is doing a lot of damage to the infantry, but actually now hitting the siege tank. Not as good of a target, but does end up cleaning things up with only a little bit of damage sustained to the Nexus. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Fantastic. Proving me wrong there. Excellent management from Classic. Just biding his time, not committing until he absolutely had to. Was able to repel Byun's forces and keep that third base alive.
So I actually really like that he went Colossus here, Classic. I mean, because if he had gone for a Disruptor and Byun dodges that because he's a god, which he is, the Colossus is just nice guaranteed damage and less risky in these clutch holds, right? So props to him.
Definitely.
Good choice.
Yep, and they're about to be empowered here by Thermal Lance. So yeah, Classic has gotten himself into a rather comfortable position. The third base pretty much just started now for Byun, who's also adding his 4th and 5th barracks. He is pumping out double Vikings. It's tough to play with Stargate units already out there. There are only 3 Phoenix, but Vikings. The number of Vikings has to be pretty high to deal with the Phoenixes and the Colossi.
Yes, sir.
So yeah,
but it is the appropriate response.
It is. He definitely needs it. It's a tough call to make on whether or not you just pump out double Vikings from 1 starport, or do you add that 2nd starport. And you can very easily overmake Vikings in this matchup. You know, with that being said, there are only 2 Colossi out there right now. So, you know, at this point, he probably wouldn't want to commit to a 2nd starport. But it's a very difficult compositional decision to make it correctly.
It's also great that Byun has got so many Marauders. Like, that is gonna deal damage to all these mechanical units.
Yeah, the Marauders are gonna help quite a bit there. Byun needs to get into good position to take the next attack. This is not an army that he would like to engage out in the open, I don't think. Probably wants to get his tanks behind some walls, maybe get that army coming through a choke point. There are quite a few charge lots.
Here's the thing, Symphonic. There are no shield batteries here, so I'm not sure I'm loving the fact that Classic needs to defend right here, right now. It's a little dicey, but the supplies are close enough. Classic a little bit ahead in it. Army value as well. Not in supply, but actual resources. So maybe he can do it. Here's the engage.
Tanks are lifted. They're a non-factor in this fight so far. The bio is actually doing quite well. But while the Colossi are still, or at least one of them anyway, is still standing strong. Nice pickup there from Classic, keeping that Colossus alive as long as he can.
Damn, he killed all the infantry, but at what cost? A lot of tech units have been reset for Classic. Byun should be able to remake. However, the problem for him is that his main is mining out. Look at that massive transfer of workers. Third base is finally gonna land. So that's a big moment for him income-wise. They can definitely get a lot more money for him, especially after dropping mules.
It's another one of those situations similar to the previous game where I think Byun needed to do more damage in his attack at the third here. The Disruptor shot is going to get some kills, quite a few kills. I think Classic might have enough, I mean, maybe not to win the game outright at the moment, but to push through and to get some more economic damage done for sure.
No, he's dealing sick damage. Absolutely. The Immortal, a problem for these Marauders. And oh, great pickup though. But 10 SCVs have gone down, and there are more Zealots coming. The tank on the high ground helping a ton, but if the Zealots are spread out this nicely, then it won't be able to do splash damage.
Yeah, so what
Even
just
more
happened, the attack there from Classic, or I should say the result, is basically what Byun needed in his previous attack. And what I mean by that is they traded pretty evenly. Classic did come out slightly ahead in the trade, but what was more important is that he was able to push through and damage the economy. Byun is down to 42 workers. Classic is getting his 4th base up. He has a healthy 3-base economy, and so while he slightly out-traded Byun, it was pretty close. More importantly, he was able to push through and get those, I think it was 8 or 10 SDV kills on top of it, which is giving him a very solid lead now.
Yeah, so Classic has the opportunity right now to hit with that +1 armor. He's got 1-1 done, so finally equal with the Terran in terms of upgrades. 3 Archons, 2 Immortals, and the Disruptor is scary, man. Oh, picks it off just in time.
Yeah,
Looks like Classic has to go home again.
The positioning there from Byun was about as good as it gets. He had all of those Zealots in the choke point. I'm not sure it matters though. His economy has been shambles. 22 more SCVs going down.
Symphonic, I'm not sure he needed to do that. That's a little rough. He had 2 Liberators coming out, and I think he had this. I'm not sure. That's a brutal loss.
So you're saying with Classic staying a bit too long?
No. I think Byun might have been able to hold without the SCV pull. I'm not sure, but...
Oh, okay, yeah.
That looked close enough to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be right there. You might be right. He is down to 35 workers. So, yeah, the Classic at, he held, but at what cost type question. Losing 20, I think with 22 more workers there. Certainly, if he could have done that without the SCV pool, I think he would actually be in great shape, because Classic, in my opinion, may have slightly overstayed his welcome there. He was already doing really well, did damage. He may have been able to pull back, to recall a portion of his units. I'm not sure, but yeah, losing 22 more workers, definitely hurting Byun's cause.
Maybe he can put these lips to work, but doesn't look like it. Classic is just so good at pulling the probes immediately.
Yeah, very quick response. Classic has been super consistent with that, whether it's against Widowmines or against the Liberators here. He is not giving up much economic damage in these games at all.
Is that even gonna be in range? Yeah, there it is.
So, yeah, thus far, more annoying than anything are the Liberators. Not able to find any real damage yet. Byun just finished his Ghost Academy, I believe. So he is going to try to fight this out through the late game. It is not going to be an easy task. As you pointed out earlier, his main base is almost completely it's almost completely exhausted. Does not have a 4th base built, to my knowledge. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tall order to hold.
So here's the thing, people haven't been making a lot of Liberators lately, so I am not sure Classic is highly practiced against this right this moment, and he's losing a lot of tech units again. Once the Mass Liberator joins this, do you think Byun has a shot here? Wait, he's actually just multi-prong harassing with them. he's not massing them at all. Never mind.
So far, if they were used to lock down a position against this main army, I do think it could certainly be effective. There isn't much anti-air there at the moment. Very little anti-air, as a matter of fact. With that being said, the Liberators are causing some disturbances in the economy, at least.
For sure.
They weren't completely ineffectual.
Yeah, look at this. Like these spikes going up closer to Byun's favor is really helpful to help him come back. But +2 weapons is done for the Protoss Force, with armor coming in as well. It's gonna be rough if he hits 2-2 against 1-1.
For sure. It's already difficult enough going against Protoss on even upgrades when the Protoss has their splash units out, whether it's Storm for Colossi. But here we go. Speaking of storms, some absolutely massive storms on that choke point where the Bio army was. Classic blinks forward. He's confident that he has it. The SCVs are pulled.
Is this another hold from Byun? Hold up. That infantry is still pretty healthy and there's no more splash damage here.
This is absolutely insane. He is holding at the moment. I mean, he has lost his entire economy. So if he holds, he's going to have to go get to the other side of the map ASAP.
Yeah, Classic has massive income right on top of this. And he's even getting out with those 4 stalkers. So win-win.
Yeah, so there's a very brief army supply advantage. It's currently 41-30 in Byun's favor. I think a lot of that is in medevacs though. And I do believe that Classic will be able, with the next warp in, he should be able to thwart this attack, but we'll see. The EMPs do land. They blanked the entire army.
No energy left for the High Templars, and that actually helps a lot here. Byun kiting back, see what value he can get from his infantry. It's decent, but I'm not sure it's enough against those Archons. He has to leave.
Right, and again, this is going to bring it back to the real issue here, and that is the economic deficit that Byun is facing. 18 SCVs against 53 probes. Byun had the right idea to try to push up. He ignored that 4th base. He tried to get up into the heart of Classic's base, going through the 3rd base there, engaged the army, did decently, but once again, things are just going to snowball in Classic's favor here. Even if he could just keep trading evenly, probably even at a slight loss, the superior economy is really going to compound in Classic's favor over time.
Okay, Symphonic, here's one more thing. So even though Classic has all these things going for him, eco upgrades, whatever, his bases are mining out too. He's getting a new one now, but Byun actually still has 2 fresh bases, whereas Classic, he sort of got that, but about to mine out soon.
That's true.
I think if Byun kills 2 more armies, they are actually in a similar position.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that caused me to bring up the units lost, or the resources lost. It is almost 4K resources in Byun's favor. However, he is going to have to deal with this Classic army, which includes a lot of storms right outside of his base now.
Maybe it's not realistic for Byun to hold this, but if Classic spreads his army out like that, I think he can, Byun can kill them piecemeal.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not going to be easy. Losing the Warp Prism.
Ooh. Okay, the Ghost Academy. Ouch.
Yeah, Ghost Academy going down, that is a pretty big deal there. If the Warp Prism was here, I'd say the game should be over, just because the reinforcements should be able to seal the deal. But, you know, Byun is, I mean, he's fighting tooth and nail to stay in this game.
Yeah, SCVs, let's go, boys.
I think it's a third defensive SCV pool.
20 of them going down again. Byun is absolutely nothing. He's got 7 workers.
I think that should do it. But let me ask you this. How many games have you seen with 3 defensive SCV pulls? And I don't mean that they like pull to zone and then go back to mining. I mean they were pulled and they all died 3 times in this game.
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any of those.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind. Each time they were fully committed, they all died, and Byun has managed to stay in the game to this point.
That's a sizable Zealot army though. I'm scared, Symphonic.
I think this is going to do it here. GG is called. Classic takes game number 3.
Brutal, but that was such a good game. You know, maybe it was a little bit unrealistic to hope for Byun, but it sure as hell was fun to root for the underdog there for a moment.
It was, and you know, so I had the units lost tab up there, and I think he was, I didn't see exactly how much it was. Might have been like a couple thousand or so, but Byun was ahead in the resources lost department. Slightly anyway, but I think that just speaks to his tenacity, how well he was taking a number of the engagements, but Classic just had him out macroed. His economy was superior.
Huge thank you to Army Man, who is supporting us on Patreon at level 7. Your contribution single-handedly covers one of our minor events every month. Our patrons enable us to make better content, host larger events, and to give more back to the community. Our next Patreon goal is at $300. It will allow us to maintain our current event budget. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.